Welcome to the Law Day 2022 virtual launch program. We thank you for joining us today. The 2022 Law Day theme is Toward a More Perfect Union, the Constitution in Times of Change. Our theme encourages everyone to consider the promises of the United States Constitution and the role that each of us plays in making its ideals a reality. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. These are our nation's cherished words at the opening of the U.S. Constitution. Signed in 1787, it is one of the oldest written constitutions in the world. And at 4,400 words, it's one of the shortest. It's a dynamic document, which not only outlines a blueprint for government, but also delegates power, articulates rights, and offers mechanisms for change. The Constitution is neither perfect nor exhaustive, as our nation's history makes clear. Legislation, court rulings, amendments, and we the people have built upon those original words across generations to attempt to form a more perfect union. These efforts continue today as citizens raise their voices loud as ever to fulfill the promises of the Constitution. The 2022 Law Day theme, Toward a More Perfect Union, the Constitution in Times of Change, reminds us that defining and refining those words might be our oldest national tradition. Each of us has a responsibility to help the United States become a more perfect union. So please join the American Bar Association this year in recognizing Law Day, May 1, 2022, by leading or participating in a Law Day program in your community. I hope this program inspires you to engage your community in a conversation about creating a more perfect union. Thank you to Orlando Lucero, Roberta Ramo, and all our speakers for participating in what will surely be an informative and inspiring program.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Orlando Lucero, and I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I have the honor of serving as the 2022 ABA Law Day Chair and of welcoming you to this virtual launch campaign. Let me begin by thanking ABA President Reggie Turner for his remarks and for his leadership of the ABA during these challenging times. Back in the summer of 2021, when I was approached by the Office of the President and asked whether I'd be willing to chair this year's Law Day, I looked at the roster of the illustrious past chairs of Law Day, and I was a bit overwhelmed, but I agreed to undertake this task, and it has been tremendously rewarding. Before going too much further, I would be remiss if I did not thank the staff of the ABA Standing Committee on Public Education, in particular Tiffany Middleton and Frank Valadez, and the members of the committee working on planning Law Day. It is their hard work that has gotten us here today. My first task as chair was to work with Reggie and his team on finalizing the theme. Like good lawyers who like to be precise in their language, we tried to create a statement that embodied the times in which we lived and that was dynamic. The word toward at the beginning of the theme was quite intended. The word itself suggests movement, not stasis. It suggests that we have an opportunity to continue to move forward to a place that is more perfect than what it is now. And as we did our work back then, little did we know that just 8 months later, our country and its allies would be defending democracy in Ukraine. We hope the theme, in a broader sense, shows that the Constitution is a resilient document, one that will continue to have power and vitality, even as our country changes. While on some days I feel pessimistic, I nonetheless believe that the Constitution affords our country and its citizens the best path forward, and that in our current polarizing times, we all need to rally around the Constitution, precisely because it is what we need to help us navigate the significant and many challenges that we face. Today is the launch of the 2022 Law Day campaign. Why campaign? Even though Law Day itself is May 1st, the ABA hopes that through its programming resources, we can make Law Day a months-long campaign of programming and activities that will showcase the theme and that will culminate with the ABA Law Day program that will be held virtually on April 28th. There is so much to explore that it cannot be contained in a single day. This is, of course, where you come in. Law Day is designed for broad participation and engagement by lawyers, non-lawyers, educators, students, bar associations, law schools, civic organizations, really anyone who cares about the role of law in our democratic society. Particularly today, when American democracy seems more fragile than ever, it is critical that we all seek to engage around the theme of Law Day. Through today's program, I hope that we will inspire ideas for programs and identify a variety of resources that you and your organizations can use to plan your own unique Law Day experience in your organization or in your community, and that you can share your ideas with others as well. These resources include tools to help plan and publicize your programming, lesson plans and classroom activities, and podcast outreach opportunities. I would challenge you to take these resources and make them your own, whatever that means to you. Maybe it means taking a lesson plan from the website and translating it into another language so that it is more responsive to and reflective of your students. After our keynote address, and we will have an opportunity, you will have an opportunity to ask questions of our keynote speaker. So please feel free to be posting your questions in the Q&A. Also, at the very end of the program, we will have an opportunity for some further Q&A that may be directed at other speakers or about the Law Day program and resources. So please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A, and we will get to them as time permits. It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Roberta Ramo, from my hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Roberta is truly one of those persons who needs no introduction, as her list of accomplishments and achievements is widely known. Roberta was the first woman president of the American Bar Association and also the first woman president of the American Law Institute. And she has the distinction of being the only person to have served in both of those capacities. At the ABA, Roberta helped found what is now the ABA Law Practice Division, and she is the first ABA president to ascend from the ranks of the ABA sections, divisions, and forums. In 2015, Roberta received the ABA Medal, the highest honor bestowed by the American Bar Association. A native New Mexican, Roberta graduated magna cum laude from the University of Colorado and received her law degree from the University of Chicago. She is a shareholder with the Albuquerque law firm of Modrell Sperling, New Mexico's largest law firm. Roberta has also served in numerous non-legal leadership and advisory capacities, including as co-chair of the U.S. Olympic Commission, the New Mexico Board of Finance, and the Santa Fe Opera, where she was often seen in the company of another opera aficionada, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I first met Roberta in the summer of 1981 when I was a first-year summer law clerk at the law firm. As a small-town boy growing up in northern New Mexico, I really did not know any lawyers growing up, and coming to the law firm was an eye-opening experience in almost every sense of the word. From the pace and challenges of the work, to office politics, to the social graces. I enjoyed a wonderful summer experience and had the good fortune of receiving a job offer and joining the law firm after I graduated from law school. At the Poole Law Firm, I worked with and learned from a group of extraordinarily talented lawyers, all of whom were great lawyers, but equally important, they were committed to service to the bar and to our community and helped instill those values in us young lawyers. I had great mentors at the firm, including Roberta, who was instrumental in teaching me the value and the reward of being a lawyer is not just doing excellent legal work, but working to serve our profession through bar service and helping to serve our community through pro bono work and involvement in local organizations. It was Roberta who got me interested and involved in the ABA. I had the chance to work on her first race for ABA president, and it was fascinating to see and engage in that process, including what goes on behind the scenes. And since then, 35 years later, I'm still hooked. In her approach to life and the law, Roberta epitomizes the words of the evangelist Luke, who said, "To whom much is given, much will be required." By any measure, Roberta is a very successful lawyer to whom much has been given. Through her hard work, tireless energy, and inspired, passionate leadership, she has returned her reward manyfold. We should all strive to do the same. To this day, she remains an inspiration to me, and I know she will be an inspiration to you. Please welcome my mentor, my colleague, and my friend, Roberta Cooper Ramo.
Orlando, I hardly know what to say. As everybody on this call can imagine, when we had the great good fortune of having this incredibly smart young law student come from Stanford, we knew immediately that he was not ordinary in any way. He was extraordinary in every way. And I'm so grateful for your too kind introduction. I'm only sorry, Orlando, that my husband, who you know equally well, is not on the call to hear it. Because when I tell him to pick up his socks, I feel sure he would pay far more attention to me. This is an amazing day, and I am greatly honored that Orlando asked me to speak, and touched by everything he has said, and also touched by the words of our president, President Turner. It's hard to imagine a more complicated day to talk about anything that relates to democracy, but today is that day. The role of the American Bar Association and the work of each of you in forwarding the American democracy cannot be overstated. On a day when we see the people of the Ukraine literally fighting for their lives and for the survival of their democracy, in addition to supporting them, we must also be vigilant in protecting and defending and strengthening our own democracy. I applaud your planning, Orlando, in using May 1st, 2022, to call attorneys to arms as the foot soldiers of American democracy, and to use the wonderful platform of the American Bar Association to celebrate and educate all citizens about the United States Constitution, which is sadly by too many Americans misunderstood in deeply troubling ways. Each of you on this call has the responsibility for using this day and this campaign, as Orlando has suggested, in a way that determines what will have the most impact in your community. This may, in fact, on May 1st, be the first time in 2 years that you've had a chance to have a live program on Law Day, and that post-COVID restrictions will go by the way, and you will have an opportunity to actually see and embrace one another, for people to gather in person and celebrate the freedom to do that safely, and to see, of course, what we have all missed so much, which is the nuance of interpersonal relationships. But what we've learned through the pandemic, and in fact, just at this meeting today, is that there are also ways through which we can reach many more people electronically, and that we should and must harness the power of social media, especially to young people, to reach them, educate them, and empower them, not just about the rights of an American citizen, but perhaps more importantly these days, the responsibilities of citizenship in our great country. In 1958, acquiescing to the urging of Charlie Ryan, who was then the president of the ABA, Dwight D. Eisenhower agreed to make May 1st a national day of dedication to the law. He said in introducing and signing this into being, in a very real sense, the world no longer has a choice between force and law. If civilization is to survive, it must choose the rule of law. And as we today see what brute force can do if not resisted, we must also pay attention to a constant undermining of the American democratic experience through ignorance or untruthful attacks. We see what they can do to destabilize the power of the United States Constitution and our democratic government. Also, the truth is that if democracies around the world are to survive with a democratic governing structure, in each of them, there must be a fair, just, and effective rule of law. And that is part of the mission of Law Day. But let me share with you also some thoughts about the words rule of law, which we use, I think, too often without thinking of them. A very long time ago, I had the incredible and surprising honor and pleasure and humbling experience of being invited to have a breakfast alone with Elie Wiesel. Elie Wiesel, as everyone on this call knows, was a survivor of the Holocaust, a Nobel Prize winning author who put into words what the experience was like in so many ways, and who became not just the translator and the explainer of what happened during the Holocaust, but the person who was most able to galvanize us when there was a threat of any kind to peoples around the world. As we were having breakfast, because we were just starting the Rule of Law initiative around the world, I was going on about the rule of law. And Elie Wiesel reached out and touched my shoulder and said, "Roberta, the Nazis had the rule of law. Roberta, the Nazis had the rule of law." And at that moment, I understood something that we are looking at every day today. And that is that the rule of law can be something very different than it is in our country. Again, I had an amazing chance in 1996, ironically, it seems these days, to be in a meeting in Kyiv in the Ukraine with Justice O'Connor. It was at a time when we thought President Kuchma was going to be a leader for all good things. And at the moment, they had just 2 weeks before actually adopted the new Ukrainian Democratic Constitution. They'd gone to great trouble to translate it into English for us and gave each of us a copy. It was very long. I think I recall it was in the hundreds of pages. And when we started to look through it, I realized that the reason it was so long is that it contained all of the things that the government couldn't do because the government had done so many terrible things to the people of the Ukraine. Justice O'Connor held up her own slender constitution. She had brought many copies to give to the president and his staff, and explained the brilliance of our Constitution was founding a new government that would be a very different government in concept. And that her job as a Supreme Court justice was to do just exactly what the theme of Law Day is talking about. And that is to make sure that the Constitution lived through a changing time. And we can see that through the years now, the democracy of the Ukraine is sadly at risk. Let me talk, but I have faith, I hope today, that it will survive. But let me tell you about another constitution in which the democracy did not survive. And that is the Constitution of Afghanistan. When Afghanistan became a democracy, which really came because of the result of a series of negotiations, when Hamid Karzai went back to the country that he'd been forced from, they realized that they had no constitution and no parliament really to adopt the law. And so it was agreed that a constitution that was written under the time of the king of Afghanistan, of which there was a copy in Rome, would be the constitution until the parliament had an opportunity to get together. And it was quite forward thinking in many ways and gave women rights. And it was in many ways a quite remarkable document. And the problem was that the Taliban had burned all of the constitutions, along with burning many, many books, virtually all of the books in many of the public and university libraries across Afghanistan. And so the Afghan government asked the American Bar Association to take this constitution that had been adopted in 1964 and translate it into the two languages that are most used in Afghanistan, and to print it and to distribute it. And that is what we did. We had countless Afghani American lawyers who read it carefully to make sure that it had been translated properly. And then an amazingly brave staff member of the American Bar Association got on the plane, flew into Afghanistan with thousands of copies, and oversaw their being distributed, not just to the government, but importantly to the American Bar Association, in fact, to the people, to put in the hands of the people the constitution that was governing them at the time, so that they could read and see themselves what kind of rights they had, what kind of government they wanted to be. Sadly, in the case of Afghanistan, we can see how frail these attempts at democracy can be. When we look at the Afghanistan of today, when we worry about the plight of women and watch what has been a collapse of civil society there. Elie Wiesel's words ring in my ears, and both the failure in Afghanistan for a survival of a democracy to take hold and the fight to hold on to a democracy going on in front of our eyes in the Ukraine are there always with me as I read about Putin passing laws that basically forbid telling the truth by journalists or anyone in the Russian sphere of power, using brute, cruel force to bomb, shoot away, and kill what he cannot gain, because the hearts and minds of the people of the Ukraine have in them the ideals of the democracy for which we and they stand and for which they are willing to die. With these examples in front of us today in the United States, we have to take care to define, live, and protect a rule of law that looks to our Constitution, its history, to make sure that we're talking about a rule of law that gives power to the people. At the same time, it protects the rights of those not in the majority. Much of the genius of the American Constitution is its ability to evolve through amendments. That's been the easy part. Through the Civil War that we had to correct the deal that our forefathers made with the devil in accepting slavery to gain the 13 states needed to form our nation. In that slender volume also is the remarkable mechanism that it created. We have its brilliant brevity in what were then, and apparently in some places now, shocking ideas like freedom of speech, freedom to read the books that you want, freedom of religion, no state religion. And as the Law Day theme alludes, there has always been constitutional change to meet the times, sometimes by amendments, the Bill of Rights right away, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments after the Civil War, which was gained by the leadership of Abraham Lincoln and those thousands of patriots who died for the ideal that our country would not abide slavery. The 19th Amendment that finally empowered women. Change is most often, though, by interpretation by our courts, especially by the United States Supreme Court. Years ago, I had the amazing, crazy opportunity to be in a kitchen on the south side of Chicago in the summer of 1966, when Martin Luther King was marching through the city of Chicago. He listened very carefully to all of the many woes of the Black citizens of the south side of Chicago. And at the end of his listening, he said, "But I want to give you hope." He said, "We have the United States Constitution. We have lawyers who will represent us, and we have the Supreme Court that will hear our rights." And I found that moment changed my entire reason for being a lawyer, because it was that goal, being an agent of change for the good and protecting the ideals of the democracy, that has given me a career for which I am deeply grateful. Dr. King also said, and this is often quoted, that the moral arc is long, but it moves toward justice. But we have to also recognize that the arc is not on a smooth path toward ideals. We must be aware when the arc is momentarily cracked or shows erosion. Our history shows that we've never been perfect as a nation, but through the power of voices, the lives dedicated to reversing wrongs and shoring up rights, and the votes of the people, especially the votes of the people, which we must fight to protect. And through education, we must explain to our own citizens. We will work through time, and on May 1st, again commit, not just to a more perfect union, but an arc that continues on the path of morality. Each of you must create a Law Day program to brush aside the anger, mistrust, intolerance, crude language, threats, and cynicism about the American democracy. I hope that you'll reframe the conversation so that the ideal of rights is a shining star, and also that all Americans will see their responsibility in making our democracy work for the good of all. Your programs must also highlight the special responsibility that each American lawyer takes on when she or he raises their hand to take their oath in return for what is a privilege, the privilege of practicing law. Frederick Douglass was not a lawyer, but an eloquent speaker and fighter for the rights of Black citizens, not only to be free from slavery, but to fulfill their human potential without fear. He said, "The life of a nation is secure only while the nation is honest, truthful, and virtuous." The exact same thoughts apply to the power and life of an independent bench and bar. The bar and the American democracy are secure only when American lawyers are honest, truthful, and virtuous, which we have all sworn to be when we raised our hands, not only to protect and defend the democracy and the Constitution, but not to speak untruths or use our positions to forward baseless claims for our clients in and out of court. The United States Constitution is slender, but filled with the power of brilliant concept about how a free people can govern themselves, how to use the law and the courts instead of the streets or brute power to solve conflicts, and how to deal with change so that every American citizen is granted the power to meet their God-given potential. I keep a US Constitution in my briefcase and another one in my purse. Honestly, I started doing this because when people knew I knew something about the law, I wanted to make sure that I was giving the right answers when I was asked questions about the Constitution, because I'm not a constitutional lawyer. But I now keep it with me to show the actual language when confronted with misunderstanding, And I keep it with me to give out as I come across people who seem to need to hold in their hand the document, and also to give to people who have no idea what is inside this slender volume. On May 1st, 2022, I charge each of you in these historically challenging days to present experiences in person, online, and in print that give every American lawyer and every American citizen the chance again to pledge, and we cannot read this enough, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I didn't pay attention to the fact until I was preparing this morning to what words in that preamble are capitalized. And when you look, you'll be interested to see that people is capitalized, union is capitalized, justice, tranquility, welfare, blessings of liberty, and posterity. Those are the words that we should focus on to make sure that every American lawyer that you touch with your Law Day program recognizes that whether they sit in a place like Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a tiny town in a rural area, or in a large metropolitan city, that our job is to be active as lawyers in making sure that our democracy flourishes and that the people we are honored to represent flourish as well. I thank you, Orlando, for this chance to share my thoughts. I'm just sorry that Orlando and I can't somehow virtually give you chili. That's with an E, not an I should tell you. And I thank you for everything that you all do to forward the American ideals and to protect and strengthen our democracy. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much, Roberta. As always, you challenge us with your words today, and I can't imagine a clearer call to action to all of us who are listening to the program today than what you ask us to do in preparation for Law Day, and really to remind us, particularly us lawyers, of what our responsibilities are in our democratic society. So we thank you very, very much. We know you are very busy, and I appreciate your taking the time today. I know that you need to leave shortly to attend to a client matter. But again, if anyone has a question for Roberta, now would be the time to ask it, since she will need to be leaving us here shortly. And so there is one question that has been asked. If there is one thing that students should know about this year's Law Day theme, what do you think it should be?
I think that the most important thing you can do is, first of all, make sure that they have read and understand the Constitution, and also understand that it's not on the streets that our rights are necessarily put in being until there are times like the Civil Rights Movement when the Constitution and the rights have been basically ignored. So I think it's very important for people to, first of all, actually have the Constitution in their hands so that they can read it, because there's so much misunderstanding, as we all know, about what it is. And I think also it's important for them to understand that we haven't been perfect as a nation, and how we have managed to go forward and correct the wrongs that we have undertaken, and how we actually do form a more perfect union. And it's not just about us individually, it's about us as a people that's made this country such a wonderful place to live.
Thank you. Any other questions anyone would like to ask Roberta at this point? So looks like maybe I'm gone here, Roberta. So again, thank you very, very much. We so appreciate your participation and your as always, extremely thoughtful and thought-provoking words today. So thank you again.
Orlando, thank you for inviting me, and to everyone on the call, I wish you Godspeed, and I thank you for everything you're doing to make our country a better place.
Thank you again. So we're now going to switch gears a little bit, and we want to start helping you as our participants to start stimulating your own creative juices about what you would like to do for Law Day. As I think Roberta so aptly put it already, we each have the challenge of creating programming and programming around Law Day that suits our own community, suits our own organization. So one of the things to remember about the resources that are made available on the ABA website, and some of the ideas that are going to be presented today by our next group of presenters, is these are ideas for your consideration. There is no one-size way to present this year's theme, or really very many of the topics around Law Day. But I think as program planners and presenters, you need to have a vision of what you want to accomplish with your own Law Day program, and then take what resources are available, develop your own resources, share resources, and come up with the best programming you can for yourselves. So we're going to, our next segment of the program is now going to be some examples of Law Day programming. And we're first going to watch a short video of the 2021 award-winning projects around Law Day. So that gives you a hint. There's an opportunity to submit your 2022 Law Day projects for an award later on. But we're going to start by showcasing the winners of the 2021 projects. And then we are going to have presentations from 3 different groups that are going to share with us some of the very creative and innovative ideas that they have. So we will have 3 groups of presenters from Alameda County, California. We will have Tamiza Hockenhall, Ben Sanders, and Charles Smiley. From Guam, we will have Justice Robert Torres and Danielle Rosette. And then from the Delaware County, Pennsylvania bar, we will have Karen Friel, Katie Costa, and Dave Robbins. So let's go ahead and roll the video of the 2021 award winners. Very good. Thank you very much for that video. So we will now welcome our first group of presenters from Alameda County, California. So the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. And thank you, American Bar Association, for recognizing our program as one of the Outstanding Law Day Activity Award winners from last year. My name is Charles Smiley. I'm the presiding judge of the Alameda County Superior Court, located in Oakland, California, just across the bay from San Francisco. Last year, the judicial officers of our Superior Court decided to do something new. We wanted to use video conferencing technology to expand our traditional Law Day celebration. So instead of celebrating Law Day for just one day, we created a month-long series of civic learning field trips and activities for students to enjoy. And the program actually brought together diverse government entities, elected officials, judges, and attorneys, community programs, and others to teach about the role of citizenship and the role of government in American life. Civic learning and good citizenship is, of course, important to the courts, and we rely on the duties of citizenship in our everyday work, including our constant work with jurors. And here in California, our Chief Justice, Tani Kantil-Sakauye, she's a nationally renowned champion for civic learning and civic engagement for young people. Her programs, The Power of Democracy and Judges in the Classroom, were inspirations for our current effort. Our project also strengthened the collaboration locally between government, education, and community, and collaboration that we think will endure. My colleagues, the Honorable Temisa Hockenhull and Ben Sanders, the Program Director of Civic Engagement for Alameda County, will explain more.
So what we do, my name is Temisa Hockenhull. I'm a commissioner at the Alameda County Superior Court, and I've been there for 6 years. And during my time with the court, I have participated in our Law Day activities. So last year, what we did is the judges and judicial officers, I should say, of the court, including commissioners, we not only volunteered our time, but also collaborated with the elected officials of Alameda County, other appellate, as well as, and this year we're going to see if we can get some participation from our Supreme Court justices as well, to collaborate with us and be a part of the programming that we offer students of Alameda County, so that teachers can choose from a menu of opportunities for their classrooms. And a large part of this is not just the collaboration with those who will participate, but we also need the involvement of the schools and the teachers. And that, frankly, is where Ben Sanders comes in. Ben? Is he there? Oh, we can't hear you, Ben.
While Ben Sanders is working on that, perhaps I'll say a few words until he can pipe in. As the program director for civic engagement for the County Office of Education, Ben is well known. He runs our high school mock trial competition and continued it throughout the pandemic. And the partnership between the courts and the Office of Education was critical to us being able to be successful with our program, because the Office of Education and with Ben Sanders' leadership was able to reach out to all the government, social studies, and history teachers throughout our county. I want to say we had email blasts going out to about 575 people. And I'll point out that we ran our program at a time when schools here in California were trying at the time to reopen back in May of 2021. So our program was competing with educators who really had their hands full. Nonetheless, we were able to work with 7 different school districts and a number of schools across the county within those districts for a very successful program. But it's largely due to all the expertise that Ben Sanders brings to the program, his background, his connections, and ideas that helped us execute on an idea that really was intended to reach out to more people and to become an annual tradition here itself. Ben, were you able to connect with us again. He's shy, but I'll tell you, he's awesome.
And we plan to do it again this year.
That will wrap up our presentation.
Very good. Well, given that we're 45 minutes into the program and this is our first technical glitch, I think we can count this as a win. I'm sorry we didn't get to hear from you, Ben, but sounds like a terrific program and good luck with it again. So our next group of speakers now will be from Delaware County, Pennsylvania. So Karen, I believe you're leading it off. And you're on mute.
Maybe you can hear me now.
Yes.
Hopefully, good. Because up until last night, my home computer was doing the same thing. Despite everything I tried, nobody could hear me. I could hear everybody else. They could see me. I think you need a kid, Ben, to fix it for you like I did last night. But I am Karen Friel. I'm the 2021 president of the Delaware County Bar Association, located in Media, Pennsylvania. We'd like to thank the ABA for spearheading Law Day programming every year and for promoting these celebrations with resources and other materials. Our Bar Association is also grateful for the recognition given to our 2021 program. As our Bar Association celebrates its 150th anniversary this year, we realize and re-examine those things that give our organization vibrancy and meaning. Law Day programming is one of our major annual events. Good luck with everyone's programming this year. Make it fun and engaging. And to speak a bit about our special part and our annual program, I'd like to introduce a member of our Bar Association, Dave Robbins. Dave?
Good afternoon and good morning to our Guam colleagues. Organizing your Law Day program can be exciting and rewarding for your organization and engaging for your audience. For decades, the Delaware County Bar Association has had one of a number of components of its annual Law Day programming, a celebration which engages local youth. In its afternoon celebration, the DCBA works with Widener University's Delaware Law School to promote legal education in Chester, Pennsylvania, one of the most racially segregated and economically challenged cities in the United States. This city, just outside Philadelphia, is also a city where Dr. King, earlier referenced by Roberta, received much of his theological training. We're so very privileged to have decades of continuing and generous backing from the E. Wallace Chadwick Memorial Fund. That fund offers financial support in the form of a grant for 2 law school students selected by the Widener faculty for a fellowship. These fellows then train Chester youth to present a moot court argument at the 1724 Chester Courthouse. Last year's Chadwick Fellows trained a half dozen Chester 6th graders to argue a First Amendment student speech issue. The superintendent of the local school district, the dean of Widener's Law School, and Mary Beth Tinker, the litigant in the seminal school speech case from over 50 years ago, have submitted comments on our program and what it gives to local students. I believe that information will be available on the side there somewhere. Due to the pandemic, last year's program was conducted virtually, as many others were. Our program opened with musical selections and formal introductions. We had a program, and that will also be shown to you. I think that will be available to you on a chat that shows how we use the ABA's graphics, the logo supplied by the ABA, as the heading of our written program. The synopsis of the moot court problem is outlined on the left column. The students who made the online argument and their classmates received youth court instruction from a public interest lawyer for over 2 years. The trial and the other abilities acquired in the youth court curriculum were readily transferred to their moot court arguments. One student, again, please note, in the 6th grade, Vanel Melendez, offered a focused legal argument before a local trial court jurist, Judge Richard Lowe. Here's a clip. That's our program.
When Arn chose to put the words in context in the video, it said, "This is a lot of BS." But if this didn't mean the swear word, why didn't Arn say it regularly? And this shows that he knew what he meant by saying BS. This is not protected by the First Amendment, and because it's not, Arn should take the video down.
Okay, let me ask you a question there, Vanel.
Yes.
Do you think just the use of those initials is enough to take down a video when I hear those kind of initials being used in tweets and other speech on a casual basis from time to time?
I feel as though if it is, they should take it down because it is offensive based on the school side, and for other videos based on something else or like a tweet, it wouldn't be offensive.
I know some lawyers who can't answer questions from a judge as adequately as this sixth grader did. And I'm not sure we can fully appreciate how well all of these students did from looking at a 1-minute clip. The full video of our entire program, including the other 5 students, is available, and access information will be presented to you on the side if you want to take a look at our entire program. We're also fortunate today to have one of the Chadwick Fellows join us. Katie Costa is a recent law school graduate. Katie?
Good afternoon, everyone. As Dave Robbins introduced me, my name is Katie Costa. And last year, my partner Devin Potts and I were the recipients of the Chadwick Fellowship Award. This awarded us the opportunity and pleasure of working with students from Stetzer Elementary School to present oral arguments, as Dave said, surrounding a First Amendment free speech legal question for the 2021 Delaware County Bar Association Law Day program. I could not be more proud of these students. Through a global pandemic, civil and political unrest, general uncertainty about the world, not to mention technological issues, these students went above and beyond while practicing and delivering their oral arguments on Zoom. Although only 6th graders, and given their 2 years of youth court exposure, they were eager to learn about our First Amendment protections. For example, they learned that First Amendment free speech does have its limits, and that obscene speech is not protected, as we saw in that clip. Additionally, the students learned that they do have a constitutional right to free speech in schools, as we learned from the Tinker case. And we also had the pleasure of speaking with Mary Beth Tinker herself, the litigant in the Seminole case, who engaged with the students not only during the program, but in a practice session as well. One of the best ways to learn is by teaching. And I'm very grateful to have had this extraordinary opportunity to teach students about the law and about our constitutional rights. Our Delaware County students demonstrated an eagerness to learn, ability to deliver cohesive oral arguments. I hope to see Law Day continue in the future with this enthusiastic students delivering excellent oral arguments. Thank you for recognition of our students' dedication and hard work.
Thank you, Katie. The youth court students learn important skills: academic, concentration, critical thinking, problem solving, listening and speaking clearly, socialization, respect, responsibility and teamwork, and legal, understanding and honoring rules, appreciation for the orderly adjudicatory processes, developing strategies and arguments. Acquisition of these skills organically leads to a comprehension of the principles behind restorative justice and proportional consequences for errant behavior. So these acquired skills were easily applied by these 6th graders to the task of rendering quality moot court argument. The successful preparation and presentation of legal arguments demonstrated the advantages of actful participation in quality civic engagement programs, and which in turn motivates them to engage as good citizens, the foundation essential to our democracy. Last year's Law Day program students and those students in the online audience heard similar arguments to those presented last year in the United States Supreme Court case, Mahanoy Area School District versus BL. Our program also featured a brief presentation, as mentioned by Katie, by Mary Beth Tinker, the student in the 1960s who wore a black armband to school, which precipitated her suspension and resulted in that case on school speech. Of course, this neatly tied into the Supreme Court's most recent decision concerning online student speech. Ms. Tinker's case and the case recently decided by the Supreme Court, similar to the one argued by our moot court participants, are posted on another link that will be available to you. While the Chester City has many issues that plague certain communities, it boasts the historic 1724 courthouse, perhaps the oldest public building in continuous use in North America. In years past, we've let the students go to the second floor of the building and tug on a rope attached to the bell in the building's belfry. It is said that that bell was tolled in July 1776 to summon the locals to hear a first reading of the Declaration of Independence. With the pandemic raging, unfortunately, we were forced to conclude the program with a virtual ringing of the bell. I'd be remiss if I didn't emphasize that the students' moot court presentations were made possible by their preparation in the youth court model and the related curriculum to which they were committed. The youth court program in Chester trains students and asks them to create processes for handling disciplinary issues. It promotes respect for the law by having disciplinary issues prosecuted, defended, and adjudicated by the students themselves. Often those subject to discipline are obliged to assist in future youth court proceedings. What better way to help reduce disciplinary problems than by raising young people's awareness of proper behavior by having them use peer-shared and created values to promote and enforce suitable conduct. All of this can be used to help you generate your own Law Day programs. Good luck with your 2022 Law Day program. Take advantage of the ABA resources, but be sure to have fun by engaging young people as part of your planning and presentation. It will yield benefits to them, your community, and your organization. Form your own more perfect unions.
Thank you very, very much to the three of you for that, for those excellent ideas that we can take with us. What a program. So we will now hear from our last group of speakers who are, had to get up early this morning to join us because it's, I think, around 8 a.m. in Guam, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome.
Hafa adai and good morning, good afternoon, everyone from the beautiful island of Guam, where America's day begins. I'm Justice Robert Torres, and joining me today is Danielle Rossetti, our Clerk of Court for the Superior Court of Guam. Since it is tomorrow morning in Guam, we like to think of ourselves as being from the future. The Judiciary of Guam, along with the United States District Court of Guam and the Guam Bar Association, have been celebrating Law Day, and it's now transformed into Law Months for 14 years now, and we have been recognized by the American Bar Association with an Outstanding Law Day Activity Award for 9 of those 14 years. It's difficult to summarize the program in 5 minutes or less, and so I'll just play a short video so you can get an appreciation of what we've been able to do throughout the years. we hope that inspires some of your activities for the upcoming year. I do want to highlight just 3 quick activities that we do. The first is the Justicia Award, which we patterned after the Liberty Bell Award of the American Bar Association, but we wanted to localize it. And the Liberty Bell Award looks at recognizing the Justicia Award recognizing a person or organization that has contributed to improving the administration of justice and good government. We've recognized the first woman lawyer for the on Guam, as well as the first Chief Justice and a nun who established the women's shelter on Guam for abused women. In addition to our appellate outreach, which we do every year at either a high school or a university, we also have the fairy tale mock trials. It's a great way to involve the schools. All of the scripts are available from the American Bar Association, and you can use them and get them out there to the schools and prepare them. The thing is to provide them a venue to be able to present their fairy tale mock trials. And they have really fun plays like Luke Skywalker on trial for murder for blowing up the Death Star, Claude versus the Beast for alienation of affection. So those are great programs. They don't take a lot of time and effort, but it involves the whole family coming to the courthouse and learning about the law. And really, we did this to help with our community outreach and instilling public trust and confidence in the judiciary. So Danielle?
Thank you, Justice Torres, and Hafa everyone. As the video just kind of highlighted the numerous events that we have been holding over the last, now this is our 14th year. We are honored to have received the award again. And so thank you to the ABA for recognizing our Guam jurisdiction. Really, it starts from leadership at the top, our Chief Justice, our Chief Judge, our president from the Guam Bar Association, all culminating and coming together to support the efforts of what we can do to reach out to our community, to teach them about the rule of law and the role that we all play in the justice system. A couple of events that really are worth noting today, and we will be, of course, available for questions if you wanted to reach out to us to get some ideas on how you can help plan your law day or law month or law week activity in your jurisdiction. Is we do, as you saw, the race judicata. As part of the race judicata, it's not only about physical fitness and getting out there in the community, but it's bringing everyone together and supporting a great cause. And generally, when we have the race judicata, proceeds from the race will go to a nonprofit organization that is a community partner with the justice system. You did see the Justice Patch as a Girl Scout mom and a Girl Scout troop leader. The Justice Patch launch with the Guam Girl Scouts was a very great program that we were able to reach out to the Girl Scouts, teaching them about the role of the lawyers and the judges in a mock trial system, mock trials, and also in the court system when we invited them over to the courthouse. We have our annual law fair where we bring together the community of different stakeholders and community partners and our offices in our respective courts where they can learn and invite the public to learn about the law rather than coming into the courthouse when there is a case pending or they have to appear for the case. It's just inviting them to teach them about the role that the courts play in society. And then finally, one of the new events we had last year I thought was very humbling and rewarding was our annual we have an annual physical fitness event, and we invited our Special Olympics participants to join us with law enforcement and with attorneys and with judges and justices. And really, even during this global pandemic, we were able to do virtual mock trials. We were able to reach out to the students. In fact, and shortly after this presentation, I'm headed to a school to teach students. One thing that is very rewarding, I think, that we've learned, and Justice Torres can share too, is we have students who have started our mock trial at kindergarten and have moved on to law school and aspiring to become attorneys. So when we go through that, over 14 years of doing this program, we know we're touching and we're inspiring, even if it's just one person or one child, we know we're doing a lot. And so we continue to, our Law Week committee or Law Month committee, we call them lifers. we are dedicated and committed, and we continue to come together every year with the same excitement to kind of put on a very big production, I guess, as you can say, for our island and for our community.
Thank you, Danielle. Orlando, we'll turn it back to you now. I know we're tight on time, and so we kind of blitz through that. But there's one other thing I do want to mention. A good way to start off and launch a Law Day program, Law Month program, is to bring together all three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and judiciary. And we get the Chief Justice, the Governor of Guam, and the Speaker of the Legislature together to sign resolutions and proclamations declaring the month of May essentially Law Month. And it's a great opportunity for bringing all of the branches of government together and recognizing the importance of the rule of law.
Well, thank you both very, very much. It's obviously very apparent that your collaboration with such a wide group of people produces spectacular results. So I think we can all take Guam as an excellent model for us to consider. So again, thank you to our three different programs today for taking time to share some of their thoughts and ideas with our group. Just a couple of final housekeeping matters before we conclude today's program. We are posting links to a variety of resources in the chat, and there will be a post-program email that goes out to all of the registrants that will also contain the links and various information where you can find the resources and such. And I think the chat discussion has been very useful to us, and we will work to post some additional resources on the website so that they're available to a broad group of people. So with that, again, I just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks to ABA President Reggie Turner and to Roberta Ramo for taking the time out of their busy schedules to share their thoughts with us. We're very grateful to them. Again, a big thanks to Tiffany and Frank and to the Law Day Planning Committee for all their hard work and creative thinking about this year's program. And I would be remiss, again, if I did not say, please go visit the Law Day online store where you can buy a lot of Law Day swag, including this terrific Law Day mug. And of particular interest is between now and March 31st, you can get a 10% discount on any of the Law Day merchandise by using the code Law Day 10, that's all one, Law Day 10, as your discount code. So we hope that you found today's launch program interesting, informative, provocative,